At this hour, I'm Christina Aguayo in Dallas, and here are your top stories. 6 non-citizens have been indicted for illegally voting in past elections, according to the Ohio Attorney General, Dave Yost. Yost saying in a statement that the right to vote is sacred. If you're not a U.S. citizen, it's illegal to vote. Whether you thought you were allowed to or not, you will be held accountable. Yost presented 7 cases to grand juries of people who are not U.S. citizens casting ballots from 2008 to 2020. 6 resulted in indictments, ages 32 to 78, some of whom allegedly voted in as many as 4 elections. The investigation comes after Secretary of State Frank LaRose launched his election integrity unit to make sure only citizens are voting in elections. San Diego County Supervisor Jim Desmond is speaking out and providing proof of his claims that flights are leaving every day from San Diego, sending hundreds of migrants to Texas and Arizona, all to avoid the optics of street releases before the election. Supervisor Desmond said that border agents told him the Biden-Harris administration is working to hide migrants before the election, saying the move is a blatant attempt by the federal government to protect their image instead of properly dealing with the problem. Kamala Harris is being mocked after her interview with Telemundo that didn't go exactly as she or the Democrats hoped it would go. While answering a question on immigration policy, she stumbled, appeared to take on a Latino accent, and struggled to provide a clear response. Watch.
Benefits that migrants bring to this country.
Oh, but there's no question that migrants bring. America is a country that was built in part by immigrants.
Kamala's performance during the CNN town hall has many saying, including Democrats, that she's hurting herself at the most critical time in the race by struggling to answer direct questions and admitting she's not prepared. Watch.
So I may not be quick to have the answer as soon as you ask it about a specific policy issue sometimes, because I'm going to want to research it. I'm going to want to study it. I'm kind of a nerd sometimes.
That you think is a mistake that you have learned from?
I mean, I've made many mistakes, and they range from, if you've ever parented a child, you make lots of mistakes.
Some pretty major backlash being felt by the Pennsylvania McDonald's that hosted Donald Trump, coming from the political opponents of the former president. In fact, Yelp announced that they had to disable reviews after the location was flooded with negative 1-star reviews from anti-Trump people looking to put the McDonald's out of business. And the visit seemed to trigger elected officials as a trio of senators were so upset that Trump was working the drive-thru that they decided to send a letter to McDonald's. Democrats Bob Casey, Elizabeth Warren, and Ron Wyden sent the letter to the CEO of the fast food giant one day after Trump worked the fryer, accusing the restaurant of price gouging. The political play prompted Casey's GOP challenger, Dave McCormick, to speak out, saying Casey was using, quote, vindictive pressure tactics simply because he doesn't like Donald Trump. A report published by the United Nations found that almost 900 medals from more than 600 female athletes were lost to biological males competing in women's sports. The special report was recently presented to the General Assembly and highlighted policies put in place by international federations and countries that allow men who identify as women to compete in girls' sports. The report, titled Violence Against Women and Girls, Its Causes and Consequences, said that women have lost opportunities in 29 different sports. It also stated that male athletes had higher strength and testosterone levels that make competition against women unfair. Some sports federations mandate testosterone suppression for athletes in order to qualify for female categories in elite sports, the report says. However, pharmaceutical testosterone suppression for genetically male athletes, irrespective of how they identify, will not eliminate the set of comparative performance advantages they have already acquired. U.S. existing home sales dropped to a 14-year low in September, weighed down by higher mortgage rates and house prices. The housing market has struggled to rebound after being knocked down by unusually high mortgage rates. Existing home sales fell 1% last month to a seasonally adjusted annual rate of 3.84 million units, the lowest level since October 2010, according to the National Association of Realtors, and the slowest annual sales pace since October 2010, when the housing market was still in a deep slump following the late 2000s real estate crash. Sales fell 3.5% compared with September last year. The latest home sales were short of the 3.9 million pace economists were were expecting, according to FactSet. Harvey Weinstein's retrial on sex crimes charges in Manhattan won't start until next year, and a new allegation against the former movie mogul will be included in the case. The new details came as Weinstein appeared in court on Wednesday for a pretrial hearing. He was already facing retrial on 2 sex crime charges after the state's highest court overturned his 2020 conviction earlier this year. In September, Weinstein was hit with a new charge accusing him of another assault. He has pleaded not guilty. Judge Curtis Barber granted a prosecution request to consolidate both cases and said the next court date for Weinstein will be in late January.
That's what you need to know at this hour. In Dallas, Christina, Aguayo, Salem News Channel.